You see, the majority of the planet is either generator or projector. So there's a massive dance of energy between these two, making up around 80% of the population. And now what is the generator all about? Well, it's all about satisfaction. You see, this is the signature vibration of the generator. It is satisfaction. When the life force energy that comes out of the sacral center is being used correctly, when it is being honored, when your body says yes and you trust it, when your body says no and you trust it, then you find satisfaction as a generator. The projector is here to wait for the invitation, and they're here to be recognized. The projector's capacity is to recognize life, is to recognize the way in which things work, is to see into the very puzzle pieces that make up life and put them together in a new way, or to see the big picture of life and be able to share with an individual guidance, be able to ask the right questions to a specific other individual person and shift their energy in a brand new way. Hello there. Welcome to Dharma Science Radio. My name is Ian and I'll be your host today. So the human design system has found you in one way, shape, or form. What is human design? What do I do with it? What do I do next? What's the meaning of this? Why would I care? We'll dive into all of this and more today. So basically, human design is a system for making decisions. Human design is not simply a philosophy, nor is it specifically a belief system. You see, as a system of making decisions, design is rooted within the unique individual human being. Each and every one of us has a mechanism inside our bodies for making decisions, and it's not the thinking mind. So maybe you found this video after you've already had a foundations reading, or maybe you've never had a foundations reading. Either way, I'm going to share with you perhaps the most important element in all of the system for making decisions. If you look at this image right here, you'll see we have 5 columns. The first column is simply descriptions of what each row is, and the next 4 columns are built up of the aura types. So in human design, there's something called type strategy and inner authority. Each one of these aura types, generator in red, projector in green, manifestor in orange, and reflector in blue or purple, each one of these aura types has a unique mechanism within it for making decisions. Actually, as a generic, they have a general mechanism for making decisions, and each individual human being has an individual mechanism for making decisions. So the generator here, if you're a generator or a type, which means you have a defined sacral center, your strategy right here is waiting to respond. You see, life is always being attracted towards us, and the generator has a fixed mechanism within them for or This is called the sacral response, and it can be trusted in the life for making decisions. You see, the thinking mind up here, who we are identified with, who you think you are, who I thought I was, is not capable of making decisions for my body, because my body, my sacral, has its own yes and no mechanism within it for making decisions. And as a sacral being, as a generator or a type, if I trust the sacral to respond to what life brings me, then I get the life I was born to live, and I can learn to see what only I can see. The same goes for every aura type. When you trust your inner authority and type strategy, your vehicle, your body, lines up in space-time, in the geometries, and you can look out the window of your vehicle as the passenger and see life go by. You can watch the movie unfolding right before your eyes. And so the generator is around 66 or 70% of the population. Most people are generator aura types. And now what is the generator all about? Well, it's all about satisfaction. You see, this is the signature vibration of the generator. It is satisfaction. When the life force energy that comes out of the sacral center is being used correctly, when it is being honored, when your body says yes and you trust it, when your body says no and you trust it, then you find satisfaction as a generator. And when you allow your mind to control the show, then frustration of the not self decision making because you trust your mind to make decisions for your body is frustration. The result is frustration, and you're generating a frustrated life force energy field that these three other types then have to deal with in their own amplifying system. You see, the mind goes into wherever we're not defined in the chart, and it amplifies the energy in there. It ramps it up to 11. And that's why it's not capable of making a healthy decision for the individual. When the body is being trusted as the authority, then the mind is no longer overly amplifying these open centers, and instead it is accurately measuring and reflecting the outer world for the other, which is very satisfying to do, might I add. And so that's the majority of the population. The modus operandi is groups. They love to be in groups where they can go, together and do something. They're all about the existential question of who am I? What does it mean to be a generator? Well, it means you need to understand your own vehicle, and you need to know how your body makes decisions so you can trust those decisions and have a satisfying life. Now, the projector makes up around 20% of the population. The projector is the newest aura type out of the four. The projector is here to wait for the invitation, and they're here to be recognized. The projector's capacity is to recognize life, is to recognize the way in which things work, is to see into the very puzzle pieces that make up life and put them together in a new way. Or to see the big picture of life and be able to share with an individual guidance, be able to ask the right questions to a specific other individual person and ask the right question and shift their energy in a brand new way. You see, the majority of the planet is either generator or projector, so there's a massive dance of energy between these two, making up around 80% of the population. The projector can ask questions to the generator, and the generator can respond and discover itself through that response. And so that's the key of the projector here, is to recognize the nature of things and then to ask the right questions. Especially with generators, we need to be asked. And so for projectors, because they see into the nature of things so deeply, when they're trusting their mind and getting lost in amplification, they tend to be very bitter about the nature of the world and how things don't work out, and how upsetting it is to be able to see how much better it could be, and yet to continually face the fact that it's not. Very bitter. However, the truth is their success, that they see into the nature of life and they can give a projection that is deeply valuable for the other. Whereas the generator is all about who am I? That is their question. For the projector, this question is who is the other? It is all about recognizing the nature of the other person. And this is primarily one other person at a time, that they really plug into this person and they can understand them as a whole being. And with wisdom, they can ask the right questions that can really shift the other's perspective in a positive way for self-recognition and transcendence into a bigger picture. Now, how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? We have this life force of the planet, the generators out here working and building and doing all kinds of things. We have the projectors out here that are guiding the generators, making sure they're being led towards their satisfaction so that everybody can live in a satisfied energy field. And that's the true self situation. That's what happens when we're trusting our inner authority and type strategy, when we're waiting to respond and when we're waiting for the recognition and the invitations. Because if we do not wait for these key mechanisms, if we do not trust our strategies, then we're lost in the mental amplification of genetic attraction to the outside world, how appealing the outside world is to our evolutionary mechanism. For so long, that was what differentiated us from the animals. The fact that we can see out into the world, we can remember the past, and we can plan for the future, we can make up strategies, and we can dominate. However, in the world of today, things have changed, and there is a new awareness beyond conceptualization. There is a new awareness beyond thinking and planning, and it's called emotional awareness. Now, for those of us alive today, this emotional awareness is tainted by a motor. And what that means is that if you have emotional definition in your chart, it is automatically your own inner authority. No other center can take it away. The emotions are simply too powerful. And so what is emotional awareness in the face of a motorized emotional center? It is waiting for clarity. This is the inner authority for every emotional being, for there is no truth in the now, and one must wait for clarity. Because right now there is no truth available, there are simply feelings. And if you can trust that you live in a different time scale, you live in a different timing from the other half of the world, because around half of us are emotional inner authority and half are the rest. Sacral, splenic, ego, self, and environmental. However, most of us are emotional, and when we get into groups with other people, then we're almost always emotional in our authority as a group. And so we must wait, we must allow time to pass, and clarity will be revealed.
The biggest problem I was having was getting my head wrapped around all of the content and all of the information held within the human design system. Ian really made it simple for me to engage my curiosity for one, but made it approachable enough to where I felt like I could immediately get value out of the conversation and immediately start applying things to my day-to-day life where it didn't seem like some big puzzle I had to solve. It was an immediate solution to something that I was dealing with in my life. How am I going to apply this with any sense of reality? And he made it so simple and so easy that I have now been on another year and a half since that first meeting with him and my first introduction into human design. And it has really given my overall life experience and the quality of my conscious experience a great boost, and overall something I would highly recommend to anyone else that's early on in their years or even months sometimes, like I was at human design.
I've been following Ian for about a year now, and I got the chance to work with him recently. The way that his knowledge of human design expands when you're in his presence to fit what you need exactly is something that is a joy to work with and a joy to see live in person.
Oh my gosh, this session was so unique because Ian really made it feel like I didn't have to worry about expectations. I didn't have to have a certain outcome be a certain way, and really helped me understand that I could just kind of ease my way into this. And he was so conversational about it that it felt like I looked up and the time had gone so quickly that I wasn't expecting it to be as much value as it was for as easy as it felt.
I definitely recommend getting a reading, getting a chance to work with Ian. He's one of the kindest souls I've met and has a really firm grasp on the information in human design. Definitely recommend.
I would recommend working with Ian for anyone that is wanting to have someone that will be both there to nurture your curiosity about human design and the fun things that you can explore about it, but also will challenge you and push you in a direction that will get you up and moving and using it in your real life. I think more than anything else, if you want to not just mentally know this system, if you want to understand how to apply it and use it and see immediate results, Ian is the person I would recommend for that. I think it is important for people to remember that this is an experiment. It is not something that you can try without trying. Like Can't get the flavor of something unless you've chewed it up and swallowed it, right? And this is one of those things where Ian does such a wonderful job of making each thing that you're experiencing understandable and allows you to apply it with repetition. So it's not just a one-time thing. You learn how to build really good habits and how to build really good ways to honor your own authority in your own life. And from there, he lets you go and then you can fly. It's pretty remarkable how well he sets up my overall experience within human design for the purpose of changing my life, which it really did.
The next aura type we have here are the manifestors, which make up around 10% of the population. Now, manifestors are very different. Whereas the generators have an open and enveloping aura, if you're around a generator, you are on the inside of their aura. Generators envelop the whole world around them into the fold of their aura. Very attractive auras. Now, projectors are focused and absorbing and penetrating. You see, projectors penetrate to the core of a person. They absorb their wholeness because they're focused in on that center point, the center of gravity inside a person. And in doing so, they can give guidance to the other when the other recognizes them and invites them in. Manifestors are different. They have a closed and repelling aura. They are very contained within themselves. They're like a dense unit. And so the key for the manifestor is that they need to wait for their inner impulse. And if they're emotional, they got to wait for that clarity. The key is when the body begins to move and act, that they let others know. Like, hey, I'm about to go leave and go do this. And they go off and do a thing and everybody's happy. However, if they just straight up bail and leave without informing, others could be upset. Why did they leave? Was it something I said? Because they're closed off and repelling in their aura. Their energy separates themselves from you. If a manifestor is near a generator, the manifestor is contained within the aura of a generator. However, the manifestor has their own little dense bubble of energy around them. And not all projectors can peer into the density of the aura of a manifestor. So it can be a very lonely world for the 10% of people that are manifestors. And if you know that, it's not so bad. Because you can trust your inner authority and type strategy for making decisions, and you can learn to see what belongs to you instead of becoming identified what belongs to someone else. And so the signature is peace, and their not self is in anger. You see the righteous anger at how many children are dying simply because the money didn't get there? It was too busy piling up on someone's yacht? How upsetting, you know? It's a very bitter pill to swallow, and it can make someone very angry. However, the truth is when they inform others and they trust their inner authority, that they find peace, and they can truly find a stillness within themselves that generators, projectors, and reflectors can't quite match. The peace and stillness of a manifestor in their signature, it's unlike anything else. Their question is, who do I impact? This is how one determines who to inform. Who will my behavior impact? Okay, it'll impact this person. I'll let them know. Now they're positively impacted, and I'm going to go do the thing. I'm not letting them know so that they can interrupt me. I'm letting them know for their peace of mind and for my own peace of mind. Now, the reflector is the last of the 4 aura types. The reflector is only about 2% at most of the population. The reflector has no defined energy centers in the body graph chart. The reflector has a resistant and sampling aura. The reflector is very unique in the sense that it is the least common type, and it also doesn't relate to the other people in the same way. Reflectors see a very big picture. Reflectors have a very wide time scale and a very different timing. Much like emotional definition, inner authority beings, the reflector needs to wait for clarity. The reflector needs to wait the 28-day lunar cycle before making decisions. You see, when the reflector sees and pays attention to the moon hooking up all the planets within them, they can learn to see how their relationship with the cycle of life is changing each and every year and each and every day, and they can see a big, big picture. And this is why they can be so disappointed when their mind is in control. They can see the big picture of everything, and they can see how everybody fits into the same old pattern, business as usual. How disappointing to see people that don't stick out from the rest. And yet the true signature is the surprise of life itself. When one is genuinely paying attention to their life, how incredibly surprising it is. And when you have every energy center undefined, that means the life force you experience in this life has the highest variety of any type. Life can be incredibly surprising. And how beautiful it can be. I've interacted with a few reflectors myself, and it seems like they either live in a fairy tale, something straight out of Disney, or something straight out of the Brothers Grimm. You know, it can be very beautiful and it can be very dark. It can be very surprising and it can be very disappointing. And that's why their question is, who is different? Who sticks out from the pattern? Who is surprising? Oh, hey, there it is. That's surprising. I'm going to condition that into them even more. I'm going to reinforce what is surprising in this life. And I'm going to push down against the same old. Oh, don't fit in with that. Fit in with this. So there's a deep trust in the timing of life and a deep patience required for the reflector. And so this is the ultimate answer to the question of what's next when starting in human design. Do you know your type strategy and inner authority? Have you begun the experiment? Because you could study forever, which is something I've definitely done. You know, as a first line being, I study and I study and I study because I really want to understand all the little details. And that's not what really matters. What really matters is knowing how to trust your body for making decisions in this life. And people say all kinds of different things, like you have to sleep alone in your own aura. You have to eat alone. You have to eat only specific foods. You need to blah, 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 blah. And the fact of the matter is, all that stuff is nice. However, it's only correct in the timing of trusting your body to make decisions. So if somebody asks you, do you want to sleep alone in your own bed? And you go, you know, great. Trust your body. If they ask you and you say no, great. Trust your body. You can't just listen to what somebody else says. At best, they can share outer authority with you. And the purpose of outer authority is merely to share my truth with you so that you can be benefited by seeing my truth as well as your own. You see, your own inner authority is where your decisions come from. And when you trust that, then you can share your outer authority with me, and I can be enriched by hearing your truth and resonating with what aligns to my own. It's not about being right or wrong. It's not about agreeing on our truths being the same. That's never been the point, as far as I'm concerned. The point is that I have my truth, you have your truth. We can share and mutually benefit. And so what's next but to try it out? If you're a generator, try to trust your body. If you're a projector, study and wait for invitations. Wait to see who sees you first and then share your brilliance. If you're a manifester, then you really need to trust the timing of your body. You need to trust and pay attention to who you impact. And when you're impacting somebody, let them know and see how it goes. If you're a reflector, make sure you have patience. You don't need to be spontaneous in this life. See how it feels later. See how it feels later. Does it still feel good? So that's about all I have today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Take care. Bye for now. If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.